the back page now. So we're starting with number 11. Okay, if you look up at the top of your paper, there is a formula at the top, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It's right at the top of your paper. And then I also want you to rewrite the formula we did. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Write that at the top of the back page as well. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Okay. And then we are going to do this side in parts a little bit because there is one more step that we have to do. If you notice on this one, it does not tell you what m is. It gives you 2 points and you have to find what m is. Okay, so on all of these on the back, you need to start by labeling them. This is x1, y1 is your first point, and x2, y2 is your second point. So everybody label that. Everybody do that now. And you can do that to all of them. Like I said, you guys, I have done this for years and it still needs to be labeled for me. Okay. X1, Y1 first because that's your first point. And this would be X2, Y2. So I just went ahead and labeled the first 4 because we're going to do the first 4 together. What we're going to do first is we're going to find the slope on all of these. And that's that formula that I already had written on the back page for you. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. We have to find the slope in order to do the rest of the problem. So we're going to find the slope on all 4 of the problems before we do anything else. On number 11, what number did we label Y2? 10. In your formula, it says to use a minus sign after you use y2. So that's what I did. I wrote a minus sign. What number did we label y1? 8. So the top is 10 minus 8. Now I'm going to look at the bottom. What number did we label x2? -1. I have to put a minus sign because the minus sign is in the formula. And then I need x1, which in this case is 0. So what I want to do is I want to figure out what my slope is, and I'm going to leave it a fraction if I can. Fine, we don't need to look. Focus on math. Okay. What is 10 minus 8? 2. What is -1 minus nothing? Okay, and what is 2 divided by -1? -2. The only time you're going to divide them at the very end is if you know you're going to get a whole number. Like I knew that if I took 2 divided by -1, I get a whole number. If you're going to get a fraction, leave it a fraction. If you're going to get a decimal, don't divide it. You want to leave it a fraction. Now what we're going to do, since we have the slope, is we're going to find the slope for all of the 4 that we labeled. We're going to do all of this step first. I'm going to move now to number 12, and we're going to do the slope. What is y2? I labeled y2. Which number is it? 8. I put a minus sign. And what is y1? 8. 8 minus 8. x2. And you should be writing this down. I'm doing some of the work for you guys. 4 minus -6. Okay. We're actually going to do the math now. What is 8 minus 8? I have double negatives there, so that actually turns this right here into a plus sign. 4 plus 6. If you type this in your calculator and take 0 divided by 10, what do you get? Just 0. That's going to be our slope for this one. Like I said, right now we're only focusing on the slope. I want you to make sure you know how to do the slope first. So we're going to go down to 13 and we're going to do the slope again. y2, I labeled a number. It was 8. So I start with 8, and then I put a minus sign. y1 is 5. So I have on the top 8 minus 5. Now I'm looking for my x's. I want x2 first, and x2 I labeled, and it was -3. I have to put a minus sign after that. Now I look for x1, which is this one is a 4. Okay, so what is 8 minus 5? And what is -3 minus 4? -7. If you divide this in your calculator, you're going to get a decimal. We don't want decimals. We're going to leave it the fraction. We are leaving this fraction alone. Don't mess with it. And then we're going to do number 14, slope, really quickly. y2, we labeled, and it was 0. Minus y1 is 9. And like I said, I'm doing some of this work for you. You need to be writing it. And if you don't show your work on these 4, how are you going to do the rest of them on your own? x2 is 2. You need to write minus x1 is 0. So if I have 0 minus 9, that's -9. If I have 2 minus 0, that's just 2. If I divide that, I'm going to get a decimal. So actually, I'm just going to leave my slope alone. I'm going to leave it a fraction. We're going to leave it there. So we have found the slope on the first 4 problems. I'm going to put a box around that slope just because I know that I'm going to use it again. And now we're going to go ahead and start plugging things into the formula that we used on the front side. What I want to explain to you is that this x2, y2 no longer matters after you find your slope. You don't need it. x2, y2, we don't need it. The only reason you needed that was to find the slope, and on the first 4, we already found the slope. So I went ahead and marked off those second points so I don't get confused. And now we're going to use the first point, and we're going to use the slope we had, and we're going to plug it into point slope form, which you start with a y. Then you write a minus sign. Now you want y1. Well, I labeled y1, and it was 8. Then it asks you for an equal sign, so I wrote an equal sign. Then it asks you for m. Well, we just did all that work to find our slope, which was -2. I write my x minus x1 is 0. I look and see if I have any double negatives. I don't here. So this is what it is in point slope form. So the whole purpose of having 2 points, you just have to find the slope, and then it's exactly like the front side. So we're going to do number 12 together too. So I'm going to start with a y. I'm going to write a minus sign after it. And then I look for what I labeled y1, which in this case was an 8. So I put y minus 8. We found the slope. I put a blue box around it. My slope in this case was 0, so I'm going to put a 0 there. And then I'm going to do x minus x1 is -6. So I have to do minus and a -6. All I need to do is check to see if I have double negatives. I have one right here with my x. So x minus 6 is actually the same thing as x plus 6. So I just fixed it and circle it, and I'm done. What? Yeah, you can do it in your head, but people mix things up. That's why we show our work. You don't want to do this on a map test. You don't want to like go super fast and then make an easy problem something harder than it is. We're going to quickly do 13 and 14. You start with y. You put a minus sign. y1 in this case is 5. So I have y minus 5. My slope is this fraction. I'm just going to put the negative on the outside, and then it's 3/7. It's okay to have a fraction right there. That's perfectly fine. And then I'll do x minus x1, which in this case we labeled x1 was 4. There are no double negatives, so all I have to do is circle it. This is my answer. Last one we're going to do together is number 14. Start by doing y minus. y1 is 9, so I'll put y minus 9. My slope is negative 9 over 2, and I'm just going to leave that just how it is. And then I'll do x minus x1. x1 is actually 0 on this one. I don't have any double negatives, so I circle my answer, and I am done. Same exact one as the front side. So what you're going to do now is you're going to find the slope for the rest of the problems on this back side. You're going to find the slope, which is the first part we did. You're going to start plugging things into the equation, except for you can mark out 20. You do not need to do number 20. Mark out number 20. You need to find the slope for 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Find the slope. That's this part that I give you the formula at the top. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.